Alright, listen up. 10 BL shows just finished airing and I've got thoughts. Big ones. You know I don't sugarcoat, so if it sucked, I'm saying it. If it served, I'm hyping it. Now, I always look for three things. A solid script that doesn't feel like it was written overnight, performances that actually make me feel something, and production value that doesn't scream, we blew the budget on the poster. And I hate to say it, but so far 2025 has not been the best year for KBLs. Every single one has fumbled the bag hard. I don't know what's going on in Seoul, but someone needs to call a script doctor. Anyway, which of these 10 shows actually delivered and which ones just existed? Let's break it down. No fillers, just facts. Okay, I'm not even gonna lie to you guys, I couldn't finish this one. I barely made it through 2 episodes and even that felt like a personal attack. The plot was complete nonsense. It revolved around this seme who was intentionally styled to look ugly and unwashed. Like, why? What was the creative vision here? Was this supposed to be a redemption arc or just punishment for viewers? Maybe they were going for some kind of ugly duckling to hot guy transformation, but honestly, who asked for this? Who approved this? The UK was mind-numbingly dumb and loud and there was not one charming quality about him. I was initially interested in this series when the pilot came out 3 years ago, but looks like they completely changed the script and made it a low-budget mess. Truthfully, I think Star Hunter should stop producing BLs now and file for bankruptcy. It's clear they don't have the budget or the vision to create watchable shows in 2025. Now look, I don't mind a hetero couple in a BL series. I really don't. What I do mind is when a company buys the rights to adapt a BL manhwa and then completely erases the core of the story. That's not adaptation, that's disrespect. This series was supposed to be a BL. The original work clearly centered around Heesoo and Songwon and even had a sweet BL side couple. But what did the live action give us? A completely sidelined BL plot, a straight couple front and center, and a story that felt like it was hijacked by a marketing team trying to appeal to a wider audience while baiting BL fans for clicks. It's exploitation plain and simple. They teased the Sangwon-Heesoo dynamic just enough to keep BL viewers watching, only to snatch it away episode after episode. And don't get me started on the editing. The BL scenes were chopped up like an afterthought, shoved between the long tennis montages of Chanyeong, like that's what we signed up for. Heesoo himself was made to look like an oblivious idiot. Like, sir, you know Songwon likes you, we all know, stop acting brand new. And in 2025, with all the progress we've seen in BL, we didn't even get a kiss. Not even a real emotional payoff. Absolutely not. This screams homophobia and we don't support that. BL fans deserve better, the author deserves better. This was a betrayal not just of the source material, but of the community that made this story popular in the first place. Do better, South Korea, seriously. I'm convinced that the person who wrote the script for Exclusive Love secretly hates Parker Mao. Because honestly, why else would they do him so dirty? We know Parker Mao can act, but here they gave him nothing, just one scowl, one expression. And he had to wear it the entire series like it was glued to his face. The UK was a non-stop crybaby from episode 1 to the finale. No growth, no substance, just endless insufferability with zero redeeming qualities. It got old really fast. And the plot? What plot? It was like someone grabbed a bunch of tired BL tropes, tossed them in a blender and hoped something coherent would come out. It didn't. There was no momentum, no emotional stakes, nothing that made me care. Every episode just felt like filler. Pointless, boring filler. And even though I somehow finished this show, I genuinely shouldn't have. It became a chore. Every new episode made me question my life choices. When I'm pulling out my phone and watching TikToks every 5 minutes just to survive the runtime, that's when you know it's bad. I had genuinely high expectations for this adaptation. As a longtime fan of the Osan's Love franchisee and someone who appreciated how well GMMTV handled Cherry Magic, I walked into this feeling optimistic. And to be fair, the series started off strong. The humor landed, the pacing worked, and I really respected the decision to soften the boss character's portrayal, removing the predatory undertones of the original. It was a necessary change and it made the early episodes feel more comfortable and engaging. But as the show progressed, the charm faded. Rather than growing the central relationship between Hank and Mo, it began to unravel. Hank's character was increasingly reduced to a timid, overly passive version of himself, while Mo remained emotionally distant. Their relationship suffered under repetitive misunderstandings and a lack of meaningful development. We barely got couple moments that showed why these two were drawn to each other, and without that, the tension felt manufactured rather than earned. That said, the supporting cast did a solid job. The side characters were well written, entertaining, and brought energy when the main story began to lose its momentum. It's not a bad show, it just didn't live up to the potential it definitely had. Something is Not Right should be renamed as Nothing Is Ever Right because almost everything about it felt off. The script is one of the weakest I've seen in Korean BLs in a long time. Whoever greenlit the storyline clearly didn't think it through, because it lacked cohesion and emotional clarity. Yes, the leads were visually appealing, but that's not enough to carry a drama. Though Babu, the main character, might just be one of the least engaging UKs I've seen in years, even more frustrating than Hisu, and that's quite a low bar. His character had no personality beyond self-inflicted angst. He was perpetually stuck in his own head, drowning in negativity and refusing to communicate even when it was absolutely necessary. There's genuinely no narrative excuse for why Bawu couldn't sit down and have one honest conversation with Jihoon. The only reason that emotional distance existed was to drag the series out to 8 episodes. And that kind of artificial conflict does not make for a compelling drama. Then there's the third lead, whose presence felt completely unearned. He was inserted into the story with no real connection or impact, and by the time the main couple got together, his existence was irrelevant. We didn't even get a reaction or closure for his role, he was simply discarded. Most importantly, there was no chemistry between Bawu and Jihoon. You can't build a romance when your leads spend the majority of the runtime avoiding each other. Their relationship lacked warmth, tension, and emotional payoff. In 2025, this kind of shallow, underdeveloped storytelling is an insult to fans who expect better. One thing Suckfilm consistently gets right is knowing when to not overdo it. Korean BLs in 2025 have mostly been a letdown. Weak scripts, poor pacing, shallow emotional arcs. So while Checkered Shirt isn't some masterpiece, it felt like a breath of fresh air in the current mess. The story was straightforward and it respected its characters instead of forcing them into melodrama for the sake of runtime. Choi Dong-ho honestly surprised me here. I wasn't a fan of his in Blossom Campus, where he came off flat and disconnected. But in Checkered Shirt, he felt more present, more emotionally in tune. It's proof that bad writing and direction can ruin decent actors, and good direction can bring out their potential. The series ends on a clear cliffhanger, so it's likely we're getting a season 2. Business as usual felt like finding dried shit in a pile of freshly dumped shit. Not exactly great, but at least it didn't stink as much as the others. It had one redeeming quality, the chemistry and acting of the main couple. That's it. Everything else was hanging by a thread. The original manhwa is short, like blink and you miss it short, and honestly it never needed a live action adaptation. There simply wasn't enough story or conflict to justify stretching it out to 6 full episodes. But of course they had to increase the runtime with unnecessary drama that wasn't even in the source material, and it didn't help the plot in any meaningful way. It just made it feel dragged out and hollow. The production felt low budget, which isn't a crime in itself, but when the writing is weak and the pacing is off, the lack of polish becomes a lot more noticeable. That said, it wasn't outright bad, just forgettable. A lot of people skipped this one because it's too slow, but that's exactly what made Lost in the Woods special. It wasn't in a rush to impress, it let the story breathe. The soft pacing, the serene Chiang Mai forest backdrop, the gentle unraveling of emotion. This was a show that understood subtlety. FIFA at just 18 bursts into the quiet green world like a splash of paint across a canvas. At first, he clearly doesn't fit, awkward, loud, restless, but slowly you see him soften. You see the forest work on him. You see him work on the forest. His growth felt organic, and his bond with him, despite the significant age difference, never felt forced or inappropriate. This wasn't a story about steamy romance, jealousy, or dramatic declarations. It was about connection, about two people, one heartbroken, one just beginning, finding a middle space to grow together. Hem was closed off, emotionally numb after his past, and FIFA reminded him that love, passion, and new beginnings are still possible. And that ending was perfect. It didn't romanticize or rush anything. It left space for hope without denying reality. FIFA still has a life to live, and Hem finally has the courage to keep going. It was tender, grounded, and quietly powerful. A reminder that not all love stories need fireworks to leave a mark. I've said it before and I'll say it again. China makes the best BLs in the market. The restrictions and censorship might seem limiting, but somehow they push creators to dig deeper, to tell stories with nuance, restraint, and soul. Lychee Island is the latest proof of that magic. This show dropped out of nowhere. No promotion, no English title on YouTube, just vibes. And yet it exploded. Why? Because word of mouth did what marketing couldn't. And because it's that good. Think Call Me By Your Name, but make it age appropriate, emotionally mature, and absolutely stunning. This is the Chinese summer BL we didn't know we needed. The cinematography is breathtaking, the island setting is so lush and dreamy it's practically a character in the story. The real magic though is the slow burn. These two don't even kiss until the final episode, and yet every single interaction had me on edge, screaming. The tension, the yearning, the depth. It's about a friendship so tender and charged that it lingers, even after years apart. It's about what goes unsaid, what simmers beneath the surface. This is the kind of storytelling that makes you feel like you lived a whole summer with them, and then breaks your heart a little when it ends. An absolute must-watch if you're a BL fan. And if you haven't seen this yet, what are you doing? Of course, Gel Boys is my number one. I've made several videos about this show already, and I'm still not over it. Because when Boss Kuno creates something, it stays with you. There's this deeply intimate style to his storytelling, like you're not just watching these boys, you're living with them. He never treats teen stories as shallow fluff. His characters are layered, emotionally raw, and flawed in a way that's so achingly human. And instead of just focusing on romance, he centers friendship, with all the pain, jealousy, love, and loyalty tangled up together. That's rare in BLs, and it's one of the reasons Gel Boys hit so hard. Also, can we talk about the visuals? Boss Kuno always knows how to use color, atmosphere, and light to reflect emotion. The cinematography doesn't glamorize Thailand, it shows the authentic side. The streets, the mess, the warmth, and I love that. It was filmed mostly in Bangkok, and you can feel the city breathing through every scene. This isn't just a good BL, it's one of the most emotionally intelligent coming-of-age series I've seen in a while. If you haven't seen Gel Boys, you're missing out on something special. And that's a wrap on 10 recently finished BLs, the good, the bad, and the ones that made me want to file a police complaint. Let me know in the comments which ones you loved, hated, or rage quit halfway through. And if you've got a hidden gem I missed, drop it below. I'm always hunting for my next obsession. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe if you want more brutally honest BL reviews with zero sugarcoating. Bye!